Welcome to Cooking in College, the show that teaches you how to make delicious, easy, and affordable meals. I'm your host, Paige. Today is all about eggs. So the first thing when cooking is we're going to wash our hands because it's really important to have clean hands whenever you're cooking. We're making all different types of eggs today. Poached, omelets, hard-boiled, deviled eggs, and all different types. I also like to keep a little plastic bag here to put any of my trash throughout cooking just because it's easier just to throw it in there. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is make hard-boiled eggs. So you're going to take a pot, like a deep pot, and you're going to fill it with some cold water. And you want to make sure that the water is cold and not warm because you are going to bring it to a boil. So you're just going to fill it up about 3/4 of the way. And we're going to cook, I'd say, we're going to make 8 hard-boiled eggs. So we're going to fill it up about like that. And we're going to bring it over here. And we're first going to put the eggs in because it prevents them from cracking if we first put them in instead of bringing it to a boil and then dropping them in. So we're just going to slowly drop them in there. You don't want to plop them in there because, remember, they are eggs, so it is hard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And with hard-boiled eggs, you can make a lot of different things. We're going to be making deviled eggs and egg salad, as you know. But you can make all different types of things. So now we're going to leave it there. We're going to throw in a little bit of salt because that helps for when we're going to peel them. It helps lift the shell from the egg a little bit. So I'm just going to get a little pinch of salt just in my hand. Just throw it in there. And we're just going to bring it to a boil. And we're not going to boil it for long though. We're just going to bring it to a boil and then take it off of the boil. So while that is cooking, we can, let's see, start on with the poached egg, we're going to make eggs Benedict. So I want to make some biscuits so that we can put it on biscuits. Because you can put it on English muffins or even toast, but I like to put it on biscuits. So that is the way. So you're just going to get some regular biscuits. I like buttermilk. And you're just going to cook them, you know, regular, however they say on the pan, to cook them. And poached eggs are pretty difficult, but I'll show you the best way to make them. And you don't have to put hollandaise sauce. I'm going to show you how to make that too. And you don't have to put that on if you don't like it, but I think it tastes better. So we're just going to take our biscuits and line them up. I like the layered ones. All of us here do. So we're just going to pop them on there. And they can be store-bought biscuits, you know, even already made biscuits. Or you can go ahead and make your own homemade biscuits if you like. It's really up to you. So we're just going to do that. And eggs are just really easy. You can have them anytime, the morning, dinner, lunch, anytime really. So we're going to pop these in the oven for just a few minutes and let those cook. Okay, so while the hard-boiled eggs are coming to a boil, we're going to start on our poached egg. So you're going to use a medium sort of saucepan, and you want to make sure that it's thick. You don't want a flat pan because you're filling it up with water. And again, you want to fill it up with cold water. And just about 3 or 4 inches. So probably about the whole thing. You want to do it pretty high. And what we want to do is we don't want to drop the eggs in there when it's too cold because then they'll separate, and we don't want to drop it in when it's too hot because then it'll overcook and the yolk will be like really hard. And the point of poached eggs is so the yolk isn't runny like a fried egg, but it's like sort of together and jelly. Yeah, it's sort of jelly. It's really good. So we're going to first bring it to a boil, and then once it starts boiling, we'll simmer it so that it gets to about medium heat, exactly where we want it. But the first thing that we do is we're going to take little cups, they're also called like ramekins, and we're going to drop our eggs into these first. So we're just going to crack them in there so that we don't just crack it in there and it goes everywhere. Because it's really important that it contains its shape and that there's room for 2 eggs, you know, instead of only room for 1, because then they'll become 1. So you just want to crack your egg into the ramekin. both of them. Whoops, turned on the wrong one again. That's okay. Alright. So, and we're just going to I'll drop them in my bag. Let those come to a boil. And a little trick that some people use is they put white vinegar in with the hard-boiled eggs as well as in with the poached eggs, just to keep the eggs consistency together. I'm not going to do that because I really don't like vinegar that much, and it will taste in the poached egg. Not in the hard-boiled eggs because obviously they have their shell on, but in the poached egg it will. So we're just going to set these aside and wait for this to become a boil so that we can turn it down. Yeah. So as you can see, our eggs are becoming to a boil, so we're going to set the timer for 12 minutes and just let them boil for 12 minutes. Also, our biscuits are done, nice and golden. So we're just going to pull those off and set them on a little hot plate and turn off the oven. And our water that's boiling for the poached egg is now boiling, so we're going to turn it down to about medium and let it come to a simmer before we throw those in. And while that's coming to a simmer, we're going to start slicing up some stuff for our omelet. In our omelet, we're going to use a green pepper and an onion that we're going to saute. So first, we're going to cut the green pepper. And green peppers have, obviously, I'm sure you know, the seeds. So the easiest way, I just like to cut out the center, but you want to be careful in doing so. And just pull it out. And there will still be a little bit of seeds that stay on there. So we're just going to cut it, and we're going to actually dice it, is what we're going to do. And it smells so delicious. And I mean, an omelet is basically like, you just have to be creative with your omelet. It's like an easel, or a canvas for a painter, I guess you would say. You just be creative and put whatever you want in it, you know, make it your own. Whatever you like, meat, no meat, cheese, peppers, onions. So our hard-boiled eggs are done. And we're going to bring them over here. And we're going to start running some cold water into the pan as we pour them in. And we're just pouring them into a strainer. And it's super hot. And you're just going to let them get run by some cold water. Take off the heat. And then we're going to start dropping our poached eggs in our water over here. So we're just going to slightly drop one in. And just let it do its thing for a second. And then we're going to drop another one in. And just let them cook for a little bit. And while those are cooking, we'll start on our omelet. We're going to bring our pan to medium heat because we're going to start sauteing our vegetables. And we're going to spray it with a little bit of canola oil. And we're just going to, ours is already hot. So we're just going to put some on there. A little handful. And a handful of onions. And just let those sort of saute up a little bit. And then we're going to take 2 eggs, and we're going to take a bowl, and we're going to crack our eggs in the bowl, and we're going to beat them before we put them on there. So you just want to like stick the fork in the yolk and wave it around a little bit. And you can add a little bit of milk if you'd like. This one I'm not going to. I'm just going to bring it over here. And you can add meat. And you would put your meat in right now too if you were going to put meat in it. And they're just going to come a little bit brown. And you're going to turn the heat down because you don't want the eggs to burn or cook too hard. We're just going to turn it down and let them cook for a little bit. We're also going to be putting cheese in ours. So let me get some cheese out. And we'll just let that sit for a second. And the hard-boiled eggs, what I like to do is, since we're going to be making something with them right now, we're going to actually take them and put them in the refrigerator, just like this. straight away so that they can try to become cooler. And those will last 5 days. You can eat those 5 days after you make them hard boiled. Not really any longer, or else that's just old. So these are still, and I honestly think this is too hot to cook on. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take this pan off, and I'm going to use a burner that hasn't been hot yet, just to set these over there before I pour the eggs on. And then just pour that. And let it cook a little bit. And our poached eggs are looking very nice. You can take a look at them. They're still a little too wobbly. So I turned the heat off, but I'm going to turn it back on for a little bit and just let those cook. So with the omelet, you're going to have a lot of runny stuff in the center. So an easy way to get that on the outsides is basically just to lift up one of the sides and then pour the pan so that it gets on to the outside. And just let it seep in there and then put it down and just let it cook. And let's see our poached eggs. They're coming up pretty good. And I would say we could add cheese at this time. Just a little bit. You don't want to overwhelm it. And you just want to make sure that it gets nice and cheesy. So we're just going to put some cheese, a few scoops of cheese on there. And before, when I was spraying, you want to make sure that you really spray it good so that it'll be easier to lift off. So let's see here. And I'm not one of those pros that can just flip it by itself, but I'm just basically going to fold it in half, just like so. And I just press down a little bit so that the insides get cooked, get it off. And we can plate that omelet. And then I think it'll be just about time to take off. Ooh, careful. And some cheesy. So we'll turn off that stove. And then we're going to take out these poached eggs. Now,